What is it like being Jamaican in Japan? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com. And today with me, I have two Jamaicans that live in Japan. I have Darien and I have Jodi-Ann. Hey, Jodi-Ann, how are you?
Hi, good morning from the land of the rising sun. I am doing good this morning. How about you?
Good, good. And Darien, how are you doing, sir?
I'm quite good, quite good.
Good,
A little
good.
bit tired, but I'm good.
So I want to jump right into my first question. And the first question started with the lady. Jodi-Ann, which part of Jamaica you come from?
I am from the best parish in Jamaica, the Paradise Parish. I am from Portland, Jamaica.
And Darien, where are you from, sir?
I am from St. Catherine, Portmore to be exact. I was going to argue about the best parish, but I cannot dispute that Portland is the best parish. Now, I agree. So, you can have that one.
Portland is beautiful.
So beautiful.
I mean, going along that coast, let's not get in there. This is not about me and my visit to Portland and bigging up one parish over the other. Let's not go here.
Keep on track.
So my next question is this: how did you end up? Starting again with Jodi-Ann, how did you end up in Japan?
All right. So a friend of mine, about in 2012, a friend of mine told me about the JET program, and I had gotten through for the JET program, but at the time I wasn't convinced enough to come to Japan to visit. And in 2016, a friend of mine was living here, Kimberly Morris. She kept telling me about Japan, and one day she happened to meet the principal for my school, and they were talking about a vacancy and such, and wanting a theater teacher as well, or somebody with a theater background and somebody that had experience teaching young learners. And I applied for the job, and they took me immediately. So that's where I got started.
Okay. And Darien, I'm over to you. How did you end up in Japan?
Okay, it's a similar story in that I signed up on the JET program. I used to work at the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts.
Wow.
And I decided, okay, let me try to travel a bit while still teaching. I wanted, a bit of a change of pace. Signed up for the JET program, and I got through. I was very elated. And that's how it was for me. I just wanted to have a change of pace, change of scenery, and to work with a different age group. I enjoy teaching adults, and I just wanted to see what it was like working with kids. I come from a family of teachers, so it's something that we've all been doing for a long time. They've all wanted me to go into, teaching K-12, and I said, okay, let me give it a shot. This is a good way to do it.
Oh, that is great. I mean, let me tell you, I used to teach a little bit myself, and the rewards of teaching is not a lot of money sometimes, but the rewards of it is yeah. You can't say enough.
Put a price on that.
Can't say enough. And one of the things I hear, so you guys can tell me about this, is teachers are so well honored, in the Asian countries and in the Orient. Any experience on that? Anybody want talk to me about that? How, is that true? I started you, Jodi-Ann.
Okay. All right. So I have never had the opportunity, unfortunately, of working in a traditional Japanese school. I work at an international school. I work at an Ikaiwa, so I work with a lot of foreigners and a few Japanese family.
Okay.
Yes.
I see.
And my boss, he's also a Canadian.
Oh.
I really wanted the opportunity of working in the traditional school, but I didn't get that chance as yet.
Not yet.
Um, Not yet, right? I've been working at this school since 2016, and the level of respect is just remarkable. And I say remarkable, I didn't even have that experience or in Jamaica. Not to say that Jamaicans, we respect our teachers, and I was appreciated and so on at my school in Jamaica, of course, but the level of respect that the parents have for you here, and even the children in my school, as I said, I can't speak for a traditional school, but I work at I'm in the Fukushima area. It's really small, it's countryside, and when I came, it was in 2016 after they had that 2011 the disaster, and I was well received. They were so happy to have somebody, a foreigner, and as well as the first time having a Black person as well in their school, and I was really well received, and it was a good feeling. It was such a good feeling, and the children as well. They were so mannerable.
And you, Darien?
Yeah, I work in a mostly traditional Japanese high school, and yeah, teachers here are revered. Uh, it's a case where all throughout society, once you're a teacher, you're seen as just this very high level person because of the level to which they value education, not just in respect and lip service, but financially as well. Teachers are fairly well paid. But yeah, it's just amazing to see how even I've seen people meet their former teachers, adults meet their former teachers, and they will stop, and it's a whole, oh, sensei, ohayou
Yes,
gozaimasu, and all the honorifics, even though they're both now adults. Uh,
yes.
they still defer to that person as if they're a child again, and this person is their teacher. And it could be that it was their teacher back in grade 1 in primary school or elementary school. It's
Are
that
you not?
same level of respect, and it is really wonderful to see. I mean, I know that in Jamaica we do respect our teachers, as Jodi-Ann said. And you see your old grade 1 teacher and say, "Oh, Miss so and so," and you make small talk and stuff, but it's a lot less formal than what you would see happen here.
In
But
Japan?
it's really wonderful to see.
It's a
Good.
high level of respect. Very, very remarkable. I've seen or been in situations where the teacher was in the wrong, and you have parents apologizing to the
Mm.
teacher, even though the
Mm,
teacher, yes, that was a shock for me because we already know, how the situation would have gone. And it was quite surprising. Parents are bowing down to you and they're apologizing to you because you're giving this service to their child that they probably can't even give to their child, you know?
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Well, my next question is this. What do you love about Japan? And I'm going to start with Darien this time. What do you love about Japan?
The thing I would say I love the most, that stood out to me the most when I came here, the safety. Japan is just wonderfully safe. And I know that it's not the same for everyone, but I
Yeah.
remember the first time I traveled into a city close by on my own, and it was about 11 o'clock at night.
Mhm.
And I was walking on the street saying, okay, I need to hurry up and find an ATM and get to where I'm going. And then I realized people are just like as if it were daytime, walking around and talking and hanging
Really.
out and sitting on the street side. And this isn't just in a small town. This isn't a big city. It's just, wait, hang on. I can just walk around at literally
Sure.
any time of day or night, and I just don't have to really worry about anything. I know mileage may vary, especially for women, but in general, in the general sense, it's very safe, very clean as well. So it was just a breath of fresh air, almost literally.
And for you, Jodi-Ann?
Two things: safety, as Darren stated, and the people, the hospitality of the Japanese people is almost perfect, and their customer service, I have never experienced such customer service. I've traveled to a few countries, and the level of customer service, I mean, you don't have to go to a 5-star hotel or a premium resort to get this customer service. You can also have this service at a convenience store. People are bowing down to you, they're smiling, they're paying attention to you, they're listening to you. You are the queen or the king, basically, because you're their customer. They take pride in their customer service. And when it comes on to the hospitality, a Japanese person, which can be good and can be bad, a Japanese person will probably never tell you no. They will do it. They will, whatever it is that they can do to help you, they will go out of their way to help you. I've been in situations where my friends and I have traveled to outside towns and such. And I remember one Saturday when we went shopping in Sendai, that's like 1 hour from Fukushima, and we somewhat forgot where we parked our car, and our phone batteries had died. And we saw a few persons, but I think it was a couple. Yes, a couple. We stopped them, we spoke to them, and we explained, we couldn't find a car and such. And they stopped what they were doing, and they walked with us, and they helped us on and stayed with us, which was I think probably it was about 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. And they walked with us and ensured that we got to our car and ensured that we were okay.
That's pretty amazing and nice.
Yes. And I mean, they went out of their way. Like, obviously they were going somewhere, but they wanted to ensure that, we got to where we were going safely. They made it their point of duty. And for that, that's such an experience.
Yes. Yeah. I was talking to Darien earlier, and I said I'd visited Japan, and my experience here was great. People are friendly, and I had some ex co-workers from years ago, and when they heard I was coming, I kept in touch with them. They were just elated. They took me everywhere. They basically took me around, and I was like, wow, this is really great, So my next question is this one. What is the thing you least like about Japan? Y'all know that was coming. I want to start with you, Jodi.
People always ask that one. People always ask that one. All right. So I love the Japanese people, but I think one of my least favorite things about Japan is the lack of individualism. No, what I mean by this is Japan is really big on group or working together in one accord and stuff like that, which is really good. It has its place and so on, but they are not really cultured. They are not cultured too much to have an individual opinion or to be an individual or to stand out. You need to fit into this group. You need to be a part of it. You need to have the same answer. You should think the same way. It is done in one way. And only one way, one approach. And wow.
You don't have to get deeper into that. You don't have to get into that because
while it is important for you to be able to work in a group, and community definitely, as I said, serves its purpose and such, you have to first be an individual. You have to feed that individual. Yes.
So yeah, I'm gonna say something, and I as I said, I worked at a company that we had a Japanese office, and every decision, a decision was never made because the decision was always made with the consensus of the group. It was I always have to go back to the group. And you had to work in such a way that that they were going to go back to the group. So don't expect to come to a meeting and a decision is made. And it's good and it's bad. I saw it as, it's a way of honoring the group and collectively doing it. And I think we in the West are coming from, and we as Jamaicans are very individualistic,
Yes.
So I'm going to punch this one over to you, the same question over to you, Darien. And if you have any comments on this collective, please add, you can start with it or end with it, but, I don't want to take away from your question is what you don't like. But if you want to add to the collective, please do.
It's funny because my thing that I don't like is it feeds into the same thing, the level of collectivism and red tape sometimes. And I don't just mean on, say, a bureaucratic level or a government level. I mean, just even say, if you go to a small shop and there is a selection of items in one color and they have a few in another color, and it might be possible to mix them. Say you're buying a slushie, there's a blue slushie and a red slushie, and you ask the person, the clerk, oh, can I mix the blue slushie and the red slushie? And if they were not trained to say, yes, you can mix these two flavors, they might start panicking a bit and wondering, oh, wait,
yes,
saying, go menasai, and then they will leave to go and find somebody who is in charge to give them permission to mix the blue slushie with the red slushie.
Yes.
And that's the kind of thing where it can be good, but a lot of times, I guess for me as someone who is not a part of the culture, it can feel a bit annoying where, if you're in Jamaica, somebody might just say, oh yeah, man, me'll mix them for you, man. No worry, man, me'll mix them, and they do it for you. And here, they will go and find whoever is in charge. They have to get permission before they can do something that you might see as simple.
Yeah.
Like, it's right there. Why can't you just do it? It's not going to hurt the other products. It's not going to cause any problems just to do this thing. And they might say, oh, I go menasai a chotomate one moment, and then they go to find whoever is in charge to give you permission to do something. And it's a very permission-based society.
Yes.
There's no do first and then ask for forgiveness later, or sometimes trying to use the own mindset, or let me go off the path and do this on my own and sort this out. It's always a collective thinking. It's very homogeneous.
Okay. All right. So my next question is this one. Everybody probably has this when they travel, or you're abroad, you're a Jamaican, and somebody finds out you're Jamaican, or you're wearing a Jamaica shirt or something. So give me that moment, the funniest one or the most interesting one where somebody finds out you're Jamaican, and what comes after.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Jodi-Ann.
All right. So, as I stated earlier on, it was the first time that my school was having a Jamaican and also a Black person at that. And then there was one student who found out, I'm from Jamaica. And the first thing he came up to me and he was saying, do you know Usain Bolt? Usain Bolt? And he started to do the move and dancing and stuff. You're trying to dance. He was trying to dance and he was so excited, and he was asking me, if I know Usain Bolt, if I have Usain Bolt's number, all of those things. And I was talking to him, as best as I could, because he speaks a little bit of English and I know basic Japanese at that time, still basic with the Japanese. And I kept telling him for the entire time that he saw me, when I just got here, he kept asking me about Usain Bolt. He was just so excited, and most of the children were like that when I just came, because of course that's what they know. A few of the older students, they asked about Bob Marley, and the adults asked about Bob Marley.
Darien.
Okay, I've had a similar experience in class where, the younger students, they always ask about Usain Bolt or Usain Bolto, and the adults will ask about Bob Marley. But for me, the funniest experience I had was in 2019, yeah, last year. I went to Iki Island, which is a very small island off the coast of Nagasaki. And I went there for a camping trip for 2 days. And there was a food truck. And when I went over, I realized, wait, this person is selling, jerk chicken. And they had a Jamaican flag. So I wondered, oh, did I find a Jamaican way out here? And it wasn't. It was a Japanese guy who he
Always.
said, oh, he lived in Jamaica for a year and he loves Jamaica so much. And he has a dancehall CD. He has a dancehall mixtape with Massacre. It's like, wait, what? And he took out a CD, and sure enough, that was him and Massacre. And I wish I could remember his name, but
Wow.
he had
Wow.
just a whole album with I was like, when would you have found time to go to Jamaica for the first time and cut a whole record with a dancehall artist and
Wow.
then get it published and put out? Like, what? And we spent just the
Wow.
evening talking about dancehall music, and it was the funniest thing because it's just Iki Island is a very tiny island, and it's super inaka, as they would say, like country, you know.
Bush, a bush.
And it was just so surprising, in the middle of nowhere, I can find a random Japanese person who is in love with dancehall, and it was just the most interesting and funny thing to me.
So, you bring up a good point because dancehall in Japan and the we've seen the videos, we've seen we've seen it on YouTube and all over the place that there are clubs, there are places that Jamaican dancehall is pretty big. Have you experienced? I mean, I know you guys are in the country, but any experience with any of that, or just what you've kind of seen? You have had your experience here, Darien. Any experience
Right.
anywhere else with that?
Yeah, actually. So I live in Fukuoka Prefecture,
Okay.
so in the countryside, but I go into the city sometimes to, I do a bit of clubbing every now and again. And there are a few clubs that will play a lot of Jamaican music or even have specific nights every month that cater just Jamaican music only. And I've been to maybe 2 or 3 of them. And it's always a good time because the DJs, they will try to DJ the way that we do. So they're talking over the track and doing the whole voice, the throaty shouting thing. And it's so funny because if you're not listening to the language, you might, just a bit, it sounds like home. And so they'll be playing, at the start of the dance, they're playing some Celine Dion or some old school reggae. And then they build up and start playing dancehall. And then you'll run into people who are actual dancers, like they are professional dancers, dancehall dancers, they call them, or reggae dancers. And they'll have performances for a part of the night where they clear the dance floor, they clear the stage at the front of the club, and then they go up and perform to a few songs. And sometimes you'll find people who can dance better than you. Like they know all of the Jamaican dance them. I have two left foot.
That's true.
I can help myself, but I have 2 left foot. And you'll find people I'll be there thinking I'm doing pretty well because I might be one of the few black people, the only Jamaican, so I'm the star of the show. And then somebody else will come along, a Japanese person, and do the dance better than me, and I just have to creep into the background. Like, no, I can't manage this.
Oh man, I
It's
can't
always
imagine.
fun though.
I can imagine that experience. Jodi-Ann, you have had a unique experience yourself. And I wanted to ask you about that. You have had a child. You had I don't know how old your daughter is. Daughter, right? I make sure I have it right.
My daughter. Yes, she's my daughter.
You had a baby in Japan.
I did.
How was that experience?
It was an experience within an experience. But I wanted to add to what Darien was saying about the dancehall scene a bit. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yeah, I had a little experience on the of the dancehall in Tokyo when I used to live in Tokyo. And I think something that marveled me is that I saw somebody selling like kalaloo and stuff like that in the party, selling peanuts and selling kalaloo in the party. And I was like, whoa. I don't know if it can get any more Jamaican than that. That's how they have the culture down. Listen, it wasn't even the dancing for me. It wasn't even the selectors. The selectors are really good. If Japanese people can replicate somebody's culture very, very well. They're very good at that. It's true. Very good. But I said, when I saw that man and he was selling the kalaloo and selling peanuts, and you know, if you go to parties and so in Jamaica, there's always somebody selling, and especially selling peanuts and the kalaloo. Wow, it was my first time as well seeing kalaloo in Japan. So that for me is something that I will always remember. My experience.
Tell us about having a child in Japan.
Experience giving birth in Japan. Wow. Firstly, I will say that if I should give birth again, Japan would be my first choice. The first thing is that no matter your insurance, the the care and so on is the same right across the board, which you don't get in comparison to some Western countries and such. You're not going to get that service, that level or that quality of service. Japan, when it comes on to the healthcare system, I have nothing negative at all to say about their healthcare system. Very good quality. And the what should I say? One thing though that I should make mention of is that the Japanese are not cultured on using the pain relief or epidural as we call it. They will not encourage you to use it. They believe in natural birth. They believe that this is the way that you fully transition into becoming a mother. Unless you are a C-section or you have an emergency delivery, they will not encourage you to use an epidural. So that for me was quite shocking. Also at 10 weeks old, you are informed to reserve a hospital or a clinic, a practice where you want to deliver the baby. So they're very formal in these aspects, in where you have to prepare. Also have to prepare a taxi. If you don't drive, there has to be a taxi registered to come and pick you up. And also you have to register as well for a maid.
That sounds like everything is, no, I was saying everything sounds like it's planned out to the last detail of what is going to happen, which is great, This conversation, let me say, this conversation has been really good. I've actually gone over my typical time.
Oh, wow.
But this conversation is really good and interesting. And you know, wow, what a culture, just learning. But I have a question for you, Darien. Darien, no, in China, I visited China, and I haven't experienced this. I didn't experience this in Japan. I know you're in the countryside, and I know you are also Jodi-Ann.
Yes, I'm also in the countryside in Fukushima. Yes.
Have you experienced any real curiosity in terms of you're a black man, and someone coming up to you, Darien, and saying, can I touch your hair, or can I, any of that? Have you experienced any of that?
I actually have not, not in
Okay.
terms, not like that per se. Uh, in my town, I live in a very tiny town. There is one other black person who lives there, one other black man, and we live on like opposite sides of the town, so we don't see each other very often. But people already kind of had an experience of saying, "Oh, a black man." So small children will stop and look at me sometimes, but otherwise, people will just, very polite. The closest to that experience I've had was actually closer to the city. I was on a train, and a group of high school students came up to me, and they were so fascinated. They were just saying, "Oh, they're trying their best to speak English." So,
Yes.
"Oh, hello, sir, how are you?" And then they might default to Japanese, "O genki desu ka?" And then they ask to take pictures. Now, generally, I don't like when someone comes up to me and they're asking, "Oh, can I take a picture of you?" I don't like that. That happened once before, and it feels a bit, like almost I'm in a zoo. You want to take a picture of me. It kind of shaky, as you'd say. But he wanted to take a picture with me and try to do a video of him trying to talk to me, saying that he's practicing English. So I felt it was fairly harmless, and it's a kid, so all right. And he was elated, like the whole bunch of them were so happy. And they said, "Oh, we're happy to try English." So that was very nice. I always like when it doesn't have to be my students. I love when students or people overall will step out of their comfort zone. And it's one of the reasons why even me, I try to use Japanese when I can, because I feel like it's only right. I'm in their country, so let me try. So for someone to try to speak English to me, even though they don't have to, they just really love the language and want to do their best. Uh, I
I
thought it was
see.
really good. And
I see.
yeah, so he was also trying to ask me about what was it? I think it was rap music. And so that felt kind
Rap
of
music.
shaky at that point. It's like, okay, because I'm black, you're asking me about rap music. But I do know a bit about rap music, so okay. And he was trying to have a conversation with me. So that was
Versatile.
my, I guess, my black experience. But otherwise, Fukuoka has a very large population of Africans.
Okay.
So
Okay.
from a lot of people from Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. So if you go to the city, it's very likely that every now and again you'll spot a black person out and about. And because we're so close to Nagasaki,
Mhm.
the naval base, a lot of people, that including black people, will come over from the base into the city. So I want to
Okay.
say I guess they're kind of used to black people here.
Okay. Okay.
So that's
Good.
that's my experience.
So my last question to you guys is this one.
Mhm.
Food. What
Mm.
what is your favorite Japanese food? I'll
Mm.
go in
Right.
with Jodi-Ann.
All right. So of course, my favorite Japanese food is yakitori. Now, yakitori is simply chicken on the grill, and it's done like shirred chicken on the grill, and they put soy sauce on it, and they have them in different variations. You have beef, you have it in liver, you have it in different variations and such. And yakitori is readily available. It's a street food as well. They have it at festivals. You can easily get it in the supermarket as well as in the convenience store. And it sometimes, before I learned that there was a Jamaican restaurant, two Jamaican restaurants here, when I felt for jerk chicken or when I didn't want to cook jerk chicken, I would sometimes go out just to have that grilled chicken and so on, just to have that it was the closest thing I would say to jerk chicken. It might not be the chicken parts and so on. It's only the chicken breast. That's another interesting thing as well. Japanese people aren't big on eating the entire chicken or all the parts of the all the parts of the chicken. They're very specific because they have a very healthy diet. So they're very specific on the meat parts that they eat, or they're very limited to what you will find in the supermarket. So that's
Mm.
my favorite food. I would say the yakitori.
Darien.
Okay, for me, it's a bit of a toss up, but in general, I love yakiniku, which is just
Ah.
grilled meat.
Mm-hmm.
So every now and again, there's a restaurant that in the one town over, the closest I can get to, a big town experience. But there's a yakiniku restaurant, and what that is, you have a grill in the middle of your dining table, and so you order meats, different meats from the menu, and they give you the meat that seasoned the way that how they season it, which is usually just a bit of sauce, but you grill it yourself at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I always find that really enjoyable. You can just get meats, vegetables, and maybe you pay a certain amount, and it's all you can eat for an hour and a half. So you just order as much as you want.
And
Uh,
beer as well. You
right.
get the
Although I'm
beer.
not fond of Japanese beer. Not
Okay.
fond of Japanese beer.
I'm
It
not
is
really
kind
a drinker. Don't
So,
put
so I have another question I'm gonna ask in regards to food.
Mhm.
And you, Jodi-Ann, seem to have found a place that you're going to need to tell Darien about, because you said there's some Jamaican thing there, and maybe his jerk guy, that you saw playing the dancehall is a good jerk guy too. So maybe y'all two need to to trade that. But what do you miss the most, whether it be food or anything? What do you miss the most about Jamaica? What do you miss the most?
I
I'm
miss
gonna
my
start with you, Jodi-Ann. Go ahead,
I miss,
Jodi-Ann.
okay. So I miss my people every day. I miss my people every single day, especially now that I'm doing a live story time every 2 weeks for children and families. I miss my language so much, and that unfilteredness of the Jamaican people and that warmth or charismatic nature. I miss that so much, and I just miss the culture overall. You know, that is what I miss the most about my country.
Darien, what do you miss the most?
it's the exact same thing. I was going to say the people, the warmth of the people. Um, because as much as Japanese people are incredibly friendly, if you meet
Mhm.
a random Japanese person, they're very likely going to be more friendly than a random Jamaican person. But there's this natural warmth that Jamaican people have, where if them spirit take you, then you just know, say, you're good. You and them will get along no matter what. Whereas with Japanese people, even if someone doesn't really like you, they'll still be there, smiling with you and talking to you out of politeness. And with a Jamaican, it's just if someone doesn't like you, but when you want somebody really click, it's just great. Or just in general, an example I like to give is when I walk around, I do not hear any music playing in the streets. You don't hear a random person whistling or singing or anything like that. It's very static in a sense. One thing I used
Mm.
to miss is you wake up on a Saturday morning, you open the window, you don't hear any music. Hearing a Grace Thrillers up there while somebody are cleaning them
You
house.
don't hear the rooster. You don't hear any rooster
Right.
crowing.
So just the sounds as well. In Jamaica, you're driving along, and especially at night, you might pass two or three corner bar. You hear music just playing out at the bars, or you might pass a dance on the street, or just hear people talking loudly and laughing. And
And the
a lot
patois,
of that, yeah, just
the
the way
patois,
people
man.
talk.
There's just something
Yeah.
about our patois language that is just matchless. Having you're at work all day with and with your Japanese particular way, and after all of that, you want to hear your language. You want to be yourself. You want to communicate with somebody that understands what you're saying. So yeah.
So, well, that's great stuff. So, is there somewhere, and round it up? I know I said last question before. Is there somewhere that if someone from Jamaica was to come and visit, that you say, listen, you must go see this. You have to go see this. Tell me, what is it? It could be that you have to try this restaurant, or you have to try all you can eat, or you have to try karaoke. It could be anything. But what would you say? Because I know y'all are, it's not like you're in a major town, but you have experience with the culture. What is it that you'd say, hey, you have to try this? And I start with you again, Jodi-Ann.
All right, something that I love and something that I recommend that you must try when you come to Japan is the onsen. You should try the onsen. Now, onsens are hot bath houses, natural springs. Some are outside, some are indoors, where you go to relax and take a hot bath. And some of them offer massages as well. And Japanese people tend to spend like all day when they go there to just relax and also bond with their family members. I would say this is something that you need to experience because this is a traditional Japanese practice. And this is something that is going to make you feel well. I mean, for me personally, I would not mind going to an onsen like every weekend to just relax and be at one with nature as well. So this is something that I would definitely recommend that you try out. Oh, and I must include that when you're in the hot bath house, you have to be completely naked.
Darien, what do you have for us there? What is, you have to go do this?
Okay, for me, it's much more simplistic for me. I haven't been to an onsen yet, but I plan to sometime this year. Yeah. It's very simplistic, but just traveling on the bullet train. It was such an experience for me. I'm only 30, so I never had the experience of traveling on trains in Jamaica. And in the train in general it's pretty nice. I was like, oh wow, this is nice, this is cool. But on a bullet train, it's like you're in this flying metal tube and you feel the vibration on the tracks sometimes, and you're just going, you're looking out the window, it's like the whole world is just whipping past you. And very often what you can do is pay for a train pass that allows you to ride the bullet train. Let's say I live on the island of Kyushu, which is the second biggest Japanese island, and you can ride it from one end to the other. It's about 3 or 4 times the size of Jamaica. So riding the bullet train to just stop off in different prefectures, and it's just an amazing experience and a great way to travel around. So you get a day pass for tourists, and you're just riding the train run through straight across Kyushu. I'm not sure if they're doing it on the main island of Honshu as well, but it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Well, guys, listen, I appreciate you all getting up early and doing this with us and telling your story and telling Jamaicans about just about Japan and how it compares, different culture-wise. Any closing thoughts on Japan? It could be an expression that, say, listen, this is it. Any closing thoughts? Any words of advice? I'll start out with you, and I'll let Jodi-Ann have the last word. So, Darien, any closing thoughts? Any advice? It could be anything. It could, anything.
Okay, well, if you're looking to come to Japan, first of all, ganbare, good luck. But I would recommend try studying a little bit of Japanese at least, so you can have an easier time transitioning. But don't be afraid to try it. It is an amazing experience. For the most part, Japanese people love Jamaicans. You will be well received, and no matter how you get across here, whether you visiting on your own, whether you join the JET program, which I recommend, I'm advertising for them. I recommend the JET program, or Interact or any other dispatch company, or you're coming for school. In general, you're gonna have a great time. So just enjoy it. Take your time to really take it in. When I just came, I was kind of so harried that I didn't experience it the way I wanted to.
Yeah,
so
that was
take it slow, take it easy, walk around a bit, look around, meet people.
Good.
And it's a great time.
Good advice. Good advice. Jodi-Ann.
So My advice is similar to Darren's advice. I would say definitely visit Japan or definitely experience Japan, especially with your children or with toddlers. Japan is very safe. Japan is very convenient, and they have some of the best facilities for children and young children, especially. And most of these facilities are free of cost. So you have safety, you have the convenience, you have that free resource. You definitely should take advantage of this. And the food, there's a big diversity of food for everybody. There's something here for everyone. So definitely visit and enjoy and immerse yourself in the Japanese culture.
You
Those
know,
are my two.
and I know I keep saying last question, but
Oh
Jodi-Ann,
my gosh.
is your is your daughter is your daughter learning patois English and Japanese?
And to be honest with you, she started a hoikuen, which is the daycare or nursery. She's the only black child. She is their first black child, and she speaks more Japanese than English. I teach her English. Yeah, she. I'm sure that she's going to be more fluent than I am. I am very sure. I've heard her like most times, and sometimes when we take the taxis, when it's rainy, I don't drive. So when it's rainy, I take the taxi, and some days she just says a Japanese word to the taxi driver. She's gonna be 2 years old, and I'm like, where did you learn that word? You know?
So Darien, and I'm going to ask you. You know, you sound like you're using a couple. Like I know Jodi, I know. You know, how has the language been for you?
It's been a challenge for me because prior to coming to Japan, I had no knowledge whatsoever on the language, and I found it a little bit difficult to learn because there are three alphabets. There are three alphabets.
You can't stop right there. That says it no right there. At Darien, on your end, learning the language. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it has been a bit slow going because the structure of the language is just completely different. You know, subject, object, verb, as opposed to subject, verb, object that we have in English. So learning
And someone still not get that there. Right?
No.
Right. So things are switched around. The three alphabets, the kanji, which not even Japanese people know all the kanji.
Not even them.
And it's a massive thing. But once you get the structure of it down, it can be so simplistic in a sense. Because I don't want to get too deep into it, but like the conjugation of verbs and things, it's very similar across the board. So once you can focus, it's great to learn. Not necessarily maybe for learning on your own if you like a classroom setting, but it can be done.
I would say
I think we have to come there to be immersed to learn.
I think to really be fluent in the language, it is good to have Japanese friends, and it is also good to let them speak. A big mistake that we make as foreigners is that the Japanese people are always trying to speak English to us. So we spend more time speaking English to them, and they learn the English from us, and we speak less Japanese. So that's a big thing, a big mistake that we make when we come here, is that we keep speaking the English and they're trying, and we don't practice enough Japanese when we come. When you arrive in Japan, that moment when you arrive, start learning the language right away. There are a lot of free classes.
And on that note, that's a good tip. And on that note, what is bye-bye in Japanese? So I've gone way over typically, but this was a very good conversation. I really
enjoyed it.
So is it mushi? Is mushi mushi hello or mushi mushi bye bye?
Mushi mushi is hello when you answer the phone.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a little joke before I go. The first time I heard mushi mushi when I came here, my boss answered the phone. He doesn't normally answer the phone in the staff room, so he said mushi mushi. So I said, oh wow, that must be his wife calling on the phone, because just the way he answered, it was just sounding so nice. And I said, oh wow. And he was on the phone long. And then every time I heard people answering the phone and they said, mushi mushi. So I said, no, That can't be. Definitely cannot be. But it sounded so, it sounded so nice and such. And
It
mushy
sounded
back.
it,
Hello.
it it sounded like something like, we let's say, like, you're sweet, you're sweet here, you're cute
Yes,
here, whatever.
And,
yes, that's how it sounded to
like
me.
so.
That's
Yeah.
mushy.
So is how do we say the informal bye bye? Because we run over. How do we say the informal?
Sayonara. I think in any way, in whether formally or am I correct, Darien? Whether formal or informal, you say sayonara.
Oh yeah, sayonara is more farewell when it's the last time you're likely going to see somebody. So it's very, sayonara, like goodbye, like final, but a more casual way, like Jane, so see
Okay.
you later.
Yeah.
Jane,
All right.
bye bye.
Mhm.
Like literally bye bye. They say bye bye.
All right, guys. Thank you again. Thank you for providing this great information and for telling your story. All the best as you continue to live in Japan.
Okay, thank you for having us.
Thank
It
you
was
so
wonderful.
much for having us. It was a pleasure to be here and, to just add and to share our stories.
Show us some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.